How do you stay sane during the adoption process? So I have a friend who is also working on an adoption, and she is a friend that I knew, oh goodness, 2, 3 years ago when we lived up in North Carolina. And I knew that she was working on an adoption, but we hadn't really connected, hadn't really talked about, what was really going on with our adoptions and the whole process. And so she saw that I was doing these videos, and oh my goodness, the number of people who have watched these videos is very small, and the number of subscribers I have is even smaller. like I'm basically unknown on YouTube. But she saw that I was doing these, so she was watching them, and she sent me a little text message. Yep, I printed it out because I'm kind of dorky like that, right? So, and I asked her if I could share her question. So she asked me, question for you, how did or do you stay sane during the adoption process? I feel like every time we take a step in the right direction with moving forward, we get kicked back 2 steps. I know it will be worth it in the end, but I'm getting so frustrated and honestly fed up. I am at the point where I just want to drive over there and kidnap our son and bring him home. This process is so discouraging sometimes. Of course, she's not going to go over and kidnap him. They don't even let us know where the children are. But you have those feelings. You have those feelings like, oh, why can't I just go pick him up? Just go get him. I can keep him safe. We can finish the adoption process, but they can be safe with us in the meantime. So my friend who is adopting, I mentioned her in the last video. They were adopting from Ukraine, and everything there has just exploded. So any of you who were adopting from Ukraine, I'm sure can relate. And her case has been moved over to Serbia now. So they're working on a Serbian adoption. And I don't know if it was all Ukraine adoptions were able to move over to someplace else like Serbia, or some of them just halted. But I'm sure that some of you out there might be able to relate to her situation. But she said that they've been in the USCIS phase of the adoption for about 3 months now, and it seems like they need to update a paperwork. They need this, they need that, and it's just not working out for them. So I understand completely. We sent off our I-800A, and it seemed like waited for weeks and weeks. And then they sent it back to us with I think it's called an RFE, meaning that they need more evidence. So we had to, they wanted us to update our home study, because there was one line in our home study that stated that we were open to special needs, but then there wasn't a section in the home study that described the, how we felt about it and exactly what kind of special needs and all that. So we had to go back and update our home study. That was frustrating. I'm just grateful that they didn't charge us an additional fee for updating the home study. So that one was lucky. Okay, but so back to the question, how is it do I remain sane? How is it can you remain sane in all of this ups and downs? And it is ups and downs. Some weeks I will feel totally fine and confident and I'm moving forward and things feel good. And then other weeks it's like, oh my gosh, I just have all these thoughts in my head like, we're gonna lose Jose, which sometimes I've noticed I've called him Jesus, and sometimes I've called him Jose. We'll just stick with Jose, which by the way is not his real name. It is just for the video, for his protection. We call him a different name. Okay, But yeah, sometimes I think, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose him. The adoption's gonna fail. This is not gonna work out. La la la, like every single thing that could possibly go through your head. And then your anxiety's up and you're freaking out. And sometimes you can cycle through that all within the same week, all within just a couple days, from feeling like totally good and confident to now it's the end of the world. So, so one of the biggest things that has helped me is definitely prayer, connecting with my Heavenly Father. He has been the greatest source of strength for peace and comfort and calming me down and letting me know that this is part of His plan and that I need to trust in that and have confidence in that. Also, beyond that is building a community. Building a community is so important. First of all, right from the very start of your own family, in your household, I mean, your whole family has to be on board with this adoption. It can't just be something that you're like, I'm going to do this and you're just going to have to accept it. No, in fact, you probably won't even get past the home study phase if there are people in your house that are like, I hate this, I don't want to do this. So you've got to be united as a family. Then your extended family. Bring in your extended family. I have heard of people who are like, I didn't want to tell anyone until we actually got our referral, till we actually knew for sure it was going to happen. I didn't tell any friends. I didn't tell any family, which is weird because they ask you in the home study, what does your family and friends think of this? So if they're saying they didn't tell anybody, that means that they were not honest on their home study. I don't know. But include the support of your family. Let your friends know. Whatever your community support is, whether it's church or if you have different things in your clubs or organizations in your community that you're a part of, your job where you work, it's important that your coworkers and your boss are in on this. Because they're going to be, especially your boss is going to be essential in letting you have time off so you can go to doctor's appointments, so that you can do home study appointments, so that you can travel to the country when you need to, or wherever it is, have time with that child. Those are important that your boss is on board. So yeah, building a community. I also am part of several Facebook groups online, which is very helpful, whether they're just general adoption. There's an adoption in the military ones. There's specifically Colombia adoption groups. So you will find specific groups for your country, and they'll be able to support you in the things that you're going through. They'll be able to sympathize when things go wrong. They'll be able to cheer for you when things go right. And when everyone is in the same boat together of having to redo their psychological report, everybody can come together and be like, yeah, we get it. We know it's the worst thing ever. It's actually not the worst thing ever. There are much worse things that could happen in these adoptions. That one is just super annoying. Okay, another thing I do is I start working on being proactive and not just sitting around twiddling my thumbs wondering like, oh, what's happening, is being proactive. And so I start like poking the bear, so to speak, calling my agency. Hey, what's going on with this? Hey, have you heard anything about that? Calling the psychologist, sending emails. You can even call USCIS to talk to the case manager to see, hey, is it actually being processed? Da, da, da. You know, what's going on? Calling the doctor, calling the whoever to find out what needs to be done. Something else that I do is just doing what is kind of called nesting. So when you're pregnant and you're going to have a baby, we tend to nest. Women nest. You know, what does that mean exactly? That means you're cleaning and you're organizing your house. You're thinking about the child's room, decorating the room, maybe things that the child might need, things that might change in your household, your culture, different things. You're just kind of projecting a little bit into the future. And so with our daughter, some of the nesting things that I did was I was thinking about furniture, and we just didn't have a lot of money for me to go buying furniture. And so I remember someone donated this kind of cool dresser that had this door that pulled down that turned into a desk. And then there were these shelves and there were drawers below. But it was really ugly. It was just this awful brown. So I took and I repainted it, super cute, with like kind of like a cream color and purple, and did some like cute designs, put some cute new little door handles on it. Another thing I did was make her a scrapbook, like kind of like a baby book, with pretty much any of the positive. You don't want to put the negative information you know about a child, but any of the positive information that you know about the child from before they came to you. Things like, and then, just stats about them, like how tall they are and how old they are when you met, and their age, and I don't know, just any little thing that you can think of to include in there that's almost kind of like a little baby book. And you have pictures from when you hosted them, if you did host, or maybe like first pictures you saw whenever they, whenever the referral was made, or whenever you first talked to the agency and you're like, hey, we're interested in a child, and they send you pictures, and so you have like a couple pictures, and so you put those in, and then leave a little bit of room so that you can put some pictures from the actual adoption, the process that happened when you got home. So, and that is a really nice little treasure book for them, because they probably have never had anything like that. They most likely have never had a baby book. They may not even have any pictures of themselves. So anything like that is just a super neat thing for them to have. But, regardless of being proactive and your community and nesting and, doing everything that you can, staying busy, there are still some days when you're just going to break down. You're going to break down and cry. I have been found in my closet crying, sitting on the floor. And, I think that kind of thing is a little more normal than you think. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one that's like just a basket case. I don't think so. I think it's a little more normal than you think. It is an emotional time. This time during the adoption process is kind of like being pregnant. And even though your body isn't going through the hormonal changes, we're still women, and we know that there is a child coming. And so just it is almost like bearing that child, especially if you've already met the child, because then you have started to bond with that child. So the idea of losing them is almost more than you can handle sometimes. So that is what I do. I would love it if in the comments you would write some of the things that you have done to be able to stay sane during this whole process. Some things, maybe it's learning about some of the foods that they like in your child's country, so that you're ready and prepared to be able to cook some of the things that your child likes. Maybe that's a good one. Learning about some of the holidays and some of the music, learning some of the language. If you don't know the child's language, learning some of that language can be very helpful. So I would love to hear what it is that you guys do to stay sane. So please comment, please share and like and subscribe and all of those super good things, so that we can get these out to more people and they can learn, and we can grow together and be a community together in this whole adoption process. So thanks for joining us as we create our adoptive family, and we'll see you next time. Bye.